Before we begin, thank you very much to Commander Ruin for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. I'm going to keep it short and simple this time. Thank you very much for your patronage. It genuinely helps keep the channel afloat. Keep it short and simple because we got to get down to a serious topic here. This is my crusade. This is my mission. If there is anything I ever do to influence Transformers in any way, let it be this. Once and for all, let it be known, I will scream it to the top of the hills. This is the hill I will die on. Translucent plastic sucks. It is the ultimate toy killer. And not even, like, you can give me your gold plastic. Okay, fine. Sparing amounts throughout the history of toys in general, even if we're just focusing on Transformers. Clear plastic is used all over the place. Gold plastic, you have to force in some way. If you got a gold plastic toy and it's just standing around, 9 times out of 10, unless it's something big like Black Zarak and the weight is going to do something to that gold plastic, it's going to be fine. You know, I have a Beast Wars Torka, infamous gold plastic toy. Not a piece broken on it, because I don't touch it. Translucent plastic will fail even if you aren't doing anything with it. You'll just go to a toy that you haven't touched from a bin in years, and it'll just be crumbled. It'll just be in pieces at the bottom of the bin. It is, in my opinion, the worst piece of quality that Hasbro puts into their toys, and it's so universal. Now, I asked you for your translucent plastic stories, just to make sure that it wasn't just me and my personal psychosis. I asked you guys for your translucent plastic stories here on YouTube, and over on Twitter, I asked for your photos of your translucent plastic breaks. So, just so we can get a sampling. Because the goal here was, I wanted to find the poster child. I wanted to find the toy that we can point to, the same way we point to Beast Wars Neo Randy as a terrible gold plastic toy. I want to be able to point to some toy as that is the poster child for why translucent plastic is bad. So, that was the mission. But I also wanted to just demonstrate how widespread this problem is. So, I kind of struggled on the delivery method because I had a lot of stories come in, and I can't sit here and read off each and every story. There'd just be way too many. This video would go on for hours. And, you know, and I was kind of struggling, like, how do I present it in some way to where this still kind of conveys the whole point of this? So the delivery method that I ultimately landed on was blunt force trauma. I am going to retreat to this corner of the screen now so I can run all of the clear plastic stories on the bottom of this video for the duration of its length. There are 90% of the stories are going to be Hasbro and Transformer related. There's a few others in there just to demonstrate that, yes, it is not just a Hasbro problem. It is something across just about any toy that uses translucent plastic. And while we are at it, let's throw up the images I got on Twitter as well. Not as many of them. They'll go a little bit slower, but as of this recording, like, I don't know how fast those stories are scrolling by on the bottom. I'm willing to bet it's a little too fast to follow, or maybe too very fast to follow. Either way, that's just to show you how many I got. Even if you can't read each and every one of them, that's the point. That's how many stories I got. And I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm not, you know, like a 100,000 gold play button subscriber YouTuber. No matter how much I asked Santa for it this year, did not happen. And I asked very nicely. I don't have the reach that a lot of YouTubers do. If some Transformer YouTuber with 100,000, 200,000, if they approach this same topic, imagine how many stories they would have gotten. And this doesn't even include all the things that I got from other places. People submitted other people's photos of translucent plastic damage. I didn't include those in this list because really, like, I can't take from photos that someone did not personally submit to me. So if you submit in their name, there is no like inherent permission to use those photos. So like I couldn't use those. So I apologize for that. But keep that in mind. I got photos that I couldn't use because they were not given to me by the people who actually took the photos. And I had stories come through on Twitter that I don't show in this video because it doesn't have anywhere to go in the format of the video as you see it now. So no matter how much is going on around me right now, keep in mind, this wasn't even all of it. I couldn't fit all of it in no matter how I formatted this video. So just to give you an idea of just how widespread and bad this problem is. Now, we'll make this clear. Pun not intended. I don't want all translucent plastic gone. That, using as windshields, as headlights, fine. But there is nothing stopping Hasbro from producing those as individual parts that are just glued or tabbed into place. And they don't interfere with the figure at all that way. And they will never succumb to any kind of fragility issues as they age. That's the problem with clear plastic. The longer it goes on, it gets brittle very quickly and breaks on its own because it's under a constant amount of stress from being a ball joint or a hinge. That's where it comes through. That's where translucent plastic fails, is because it just doesn't handle stress over time well. I have, and I understand. Opaque plastic has accidents too. Freak things happen to solid plastic as well. Just not nearly at the frequency of clear. Clear plastic, it'll fail on you regardless of what you do. No matter how careful you are with a toy, I go through my bins and I will find toys using clear plastic for their ball sockets, and inevitably I will find cracks. I'll find pieces that have fallen off. If all plastic worked the exact same way, I wouldn't have bins full of toys. I would have scrap. You wouldn't be able to go to a toy show or a local toy store and see a whole bunch of loose Transformers because they wouldn't exist anymore. So obviously, if there's so many problems with clear plastic, it's not just like all plastic can do this. There is obviously some common denominator here that makes clear plastic way worse than the opaque. There are ways. The only reason Hasbro does not produce clear plastic in safe ways is because it's just not cost effective. It's easier and cheaper for them to just make an entire door or the entire top side of a Transformer in translucent plastic and paint it over just to make sure the windows are translucent. And I ask you, why? Why go that route? Number one, 9 times out of 10, the paint doesn't match the plastic, so it looks really awkward to have these two shades of color going on the same toy. 2, why am I able to see through the windshields of this Transformer? For what? I mean, okay, fine. I mean, it's like a car. It has windows. But what am I seeing inside? I'm seeing a bunch of crammed together robot parts. It's not like there's an interior. It's not like there's like passengers or anything that like maybe go, this is actually a car now. No. It's just a giveaway that it's a robot. If anything, having the clear plastic actually ruins the whole robots in disguise thing. It's one thing if it's an alternator and the interior is part of it. Most Transformers, 99% of them, the clear plastic just exists just because. It's not necessary. It's absolutely not. So I don't want it all gone, but I want Hasbro to actually make solid attempts to actually use it in responsible ways that are actually going to make sure your toys survive. G1 toys still survive to this day. They don't use translucent plastic for any pivotal engineering, so they're all fine. And of course, back in the 80s, they could use higher quality plastic because it wasn't so expensive. That's another issue that we're facing today, but there's no getting around that. There is getting around clear plastic being used as hinges and ball sockets. That we can easily avoid Hasbro. So, I told you at the beginning of this video, we were trying to look at what is the iconic character, which is the toy to point at and go, plastic is not supposed to be translucent. So the most common ones that I got stories of or photos of included a few potentials. One that I also had a personal experience with was the air defense minicons from Armada. Very small figures with translucent hinges. That does not make a good combination. My poor Jetstorm, I had to glue his hinges back on both elbows. And then even after I had gotten it somewhere where it's holding together, I still couldn't play with the toy because I kept him in Star Saber mode. So all of those sockets that were pegged together, all of them were cracked. All of them were busted. Unusable. A lot of the Energon toys. Energon weapons, kind of notorious for this. Whether they are the basic class weapons, if you kept those combined, it's pretty common to find cracks on those. My tow line, my Energon tow line, a toy I actually really like, his weapon has two translucent ball sockets on it for its extra little attachments. Those are very prone to breakage. Those broke on mine. So Energon, because of the whole Energon thing, really did create a problem. Kind of gives me a little bit of concern when we find out that Legacy's whole gimmick is going to be translucent weapons. Just saying. More common cases I saw, Studio Series Barricade was a really popular one, mostly because it uses translucent plastic, not only for the ball socket that keeps his back kibble on, but also his head, the neck, the ball socket of the neck was translucent. And I hate when they do that. I saw so many. The Legends Fembots they did, Black Arachnia, Slipstream, and Nightbird. All of them use that. All of them have that. I sold off all three of those because I noticed that, and it's just like, no, I'm not even taking the chance. No. These are time bombs. Studio Series Jazz is also another one. I got some Power of the Prime Jazz too. Jazz just couldn't catch a break, and that's a very recent toy too. And that's just a case of the translucent plastic is too thin on the hinges they use, so it breaks very easily. And again, you could say, well, it's just a thing with thin plastic, it's going to break. But I've seen hinges just like that with opaque plastic for years, and they hold up. At least they hold up better. They don't fail within the first year of the toy existing. For more personal experiences for me, going back to Energon, my Energon Demolisher, went to review him one day and found his arms were broken at the hinges. I had a fan who was nice enough to send me a different Energon Demolisher with those parts still intact. Fortunately, by the time I was able to get around to repairing it, those had broken as well. And just in case we want to just clear this up, this is not an environmental thing. This is not a region of the world. I'm in Florida where it's humid. Does that play a role in it? I personally don't think so, because I've now had accounts from this all over the world in every climate. So it's not an environmental thing. It's not just a matter of where you live and the air is a little wet here, so they break easier. That's not the case. It's universal. One of the worst experience I had with clear plastic was a toy called Beast Machine's Hammer Strike, which is a really weird toy. It's very alien in robot mode, but I really, really liked it. The shark mode on it looks super cool, and the transformation on it's really neat. I actually really, really enjoyed that toy. Had it up on my shelf, one of the few Beast characters that I kept on the shelf that wasn't in a show. I just liked the toy that much. I wanted to pick up and goof with it every now and then. I come home one day, and I noticed that one of his arms is by his feet. And then I went and picked up the toy and found out the other arm was about to fall off too. Both sockets around the same time had managed to bust themselves just because they could not handle their own stress and their own tolerances anymore. And someone sent me a picture. Whoever sent me the picture of your hammer strike that broke the same way, my heart goes out to you. Like, I know that pain exactly. But I think there were some other ones that were like really common to find. The multi-pack beast, or the multi-pack prime Abominus set that was done in like half translucent plastic. So many of those are broken. But no, I think the one, if we're gonna crown a poster child for translucent plastic, the one that I got the most stories from, and another one that I had personal experience with, was Animated Swindle. Animated Swindle uses translucent plastic for his hips and his biceps, which include translucent plastic on multiple ball sockets. And what makes him worse is because he has those like Mega Man proportions where it's like thin biceps, really heavy arms. So now you're putting what's already very fragile stuff that can't handle stress under even more stress trying to hold up the weight of those parts. Recipe for disaster, and created a very common figure that breaks very easily. And it's a shame because it's a great toy, and now it's a bigger shame now that we lost Derek Wyatt, because that was his favorite character. That was his mission to get Swindle into the show. He pushed hard for it, and great thing that he did, because Swindle was a great character in Animated, and he got a great toy. The fortunate thing is the toy is just very poorly designed and will inevitably break no matter what you do with it. And the sad part about that is, even worse, is there's no safe repaint of that toy. The only repaint they planned got canceled, and the Takara version also uses the exact same translucent plastic in the exact same spots. So there we lose a great toy and what would have been a great legacy, and instead it's just sad. It's just sad and unfortunate. So if we're going to crown any toy as like, this is the reason translucent plastic should never be used, at least not for engineering purposes, it's got to be Animated Swindle. There's plenty of examples that you can cite, but I don't think there's any that reach as universal as that one does. And I don't think there's any that's more tragic now than that particular toy. So I've made my case. You've seen the stories going by, I'm sure, quite fast, too fast to read them all. And they're all on the reply. If you want to specifically go through all of them, including the ones I didn't include, you can go to my original video asking for translucent plastic stories. They're all there in the comments section. And just, be amazed that this is such a common problem that Hasbro has not addressed in any way, shape, or form. This is my cry. This is my battle cry. Translucent plastic needs to go. Hasbro, I want to be able to pass my toys down to my kids so they got to see what their dad played with. That's not going to happen if you continue to use material that self-destructs. It's got to stop. Has to stop. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.